I'm Morgan.
And I'm Jake, and this is
Neverland Navigation Radio,
where we hop aboard another one of our favorite modes of Disney transportation and talk all about the Disney Skyliner.
Yeah, this one might be my favorite.
Oh, your favorite method of transportation?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Skyliner is really cool.
Yeah.
It's got like historical roots, but a modern kind of ease and convenience about it.
Yeah, there are pros and cons to all of them, I think. But
It's very true. Take a listen back to our good old transportation episode if you'd like to hear us get into the comparisons of them all. But just last week, Morgan covered the monorail, an iconic means of Disney transportation. And so this week, we're going to spend some time talking about the newest addition to the transportation lineup, the Disney Skyliner. A little bit of a controversial one amongst park guests, and people, have strong feelings about it.
Controversial?
Maybe it was more controversial toward its opening.
Yeah, oh yeah.
There was a lot of conversation.
Yes, and it seemed, yes, totally. I'm sure you're going to get into that, so I'm not going to.
There was some cause for concern.
Yeah, there was cause for concern. I was like, I'm not sure I'm doing this.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were in that boat with you.
Yeah, turns out I was wrong.
Yeah, we do it a lot. Nowadays, we do it all the time.
Yeah, if I've got family coming into town and they don't want to buy a ticket, I'm like, hey, let's go on the Skyliner.
But you have family members who won't because of the heights,
I do have family members that will not get on it.
And I know people who won't get on it because of heights too. So yeah. It's not,
It's not heights, actually.
Right.
For my brother, it's like, it's not being able to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like a very specific phobia.
Yes.
Justified. I get it. Especially after last week's episode on how to escape the monorail.
Mm-hmm. He would rather be shimmying down the windscreen.
I'm going to tell him not to listen to that episode. Holy hell.
That was, yeah. Take it. If you missed last week for some reason, you got to cover that ground.
Oh my gosh.
It truly shakes you.
It does. It'll stick with you.
We'll get into some, not that the Skyway is without incident. We'll get to some.
Wait. Okay. Go on.
It's not shimmying down the.
Do you know what the escape situation would be?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not. They've been evacuated.
Does it involve a rope?
No.
Tied rope?
No. Thank goodness, no, it does not. We will get into that. But before we dive into the Skyway, we did want to say thank you for listening. Whether you're on a listening platform like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we're very glad that you found the show. Or if you're a regular listener, thank you for listening for another week. If you'd like to see the visual version of the show, our smiling faces as we discuss the Skyliner, then you can head over to our YouTube channel, Neverland Navigation Co., where weekly we post the video form of the podcast. And if you are over there and you feel like liking the video, subscribing, leaving a comment, telling us how you feel about the Skyliner or what your favorite way to get around Walt Disney World is, then we would definitely appreciate it. It helps the channel so much, helps us keep going, makes a big impact, and we really appreciate your love there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're thinking about taking a trip, whether it's Disney or anything else, send me an email at neverlandnavigationco@gmail.com because I am a free-to-you travel agent. And if you let me help you book, and I would help as much or as little as you'd like, you get free custom trip t-shirts from me. You don't pay me. The company that you're traveling to pays me, and they don't charge you extra. So it's also a way for you to help us out. So just send me an email and we'll talk about it. neverlandnavigationco@gmail.com.
Yes, and the free t-shirts you get that you book with Morgan really provides a lot of fun, creative ways for your family to do t-shirts. Maybe you each want to be a different method of transportation. Someone can be the monorail, someone can be the Skyliner. What fun.
Yeah, we have really amazing, a lot of times vintage looking designs that people really like, and I could absolutely do like a vintage transportation poster for a bunch of different transportation options and put them on shirts. Yeah, that would be fun.
That would be really fun. If you're the family that does that, I want to hear about it. Let us know on Instagram at Neverland Navco, please. Until then, though, let's discuss some of the Skyway history here. Skyway, Skyliner, because it is very interesting. This only opened back in 2019.
Yeah.
So very new to the world of Walt Disney World. Definitely remember this being built and thinking, wow, this is really going to change the way that a lot of the property looks, because you see them
everywhere.
In a lot of places.
Yeah.
Especially in that Hollywood Studios realm of things, which is probably, I mean, the only two parks of the service. You see them a lot
Yeah,
because they're
just driving around property, not even in a park.
right.
Very cool. I like it. I like the aesthetic that it adds. You know what I mean?
Yes, add some movement, and they're like a kind of a retro, streamlined kind of look to them. Add some vibrancy, some color, and some flair to the sky as you're driving by. I love that about all of the different transportations that they add some energy to the resort, and these I feel like do a really good job of that in a lot of places. Um, I will say, just diving right in here, they the Skyliner that we have at Walt Disney World today is, of course, really it's running because the Disney Skyway walked. You
Right,
know,
right.
the Disney Skyway was well, in Disneyland in 1956, it was a D-ticket attraction,
Oh
much
wow.
like how the monorail was just like a ride that
Right.
you would, ride for fun as like a sightseeing thing.
Wait, were
Um,
there not stops?
there were stops.
Okay.
There were two stops. There was the Tomorrowland stop and the Fantasyland stop.
Okay.
So it was the
You
two
could,
routes.
yeah, but it was a ride. Right. I get it. I get it.
Yes, it was a ride, but it was also transportation. It's funny how that used to be the case, huh?
Yeah.
That
Well,
something could
and
truly be
still
both.
with the train.
Hmm. Right, the railroad in the park is that way as well.
Yeah.
A ride and a transportation system.
Yeah.
In 1956, which was a year into Disneyland's operation, these were added as improvements to, they were really, in those early years, they were doing a lot of development on Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland was constantly evolving because when it opened, it was a very underwhelming version of what we had now. It had very few attractions. And so, as things continued to be added, like the Monsanto Hall of Chemistry, the Monsanto House of the Future, and the Skyliner terminal, the Skyway terminal, it was a fun means of transportation to get you to and from Fantasyland, and it had a great bird's eye view of the park. So, people really enjoyed the Skyway there. And they were like sky buckets, suspended sky buckets made by a Swiss manufacturing company that had created similar technologies for ski resorts and stuff,
Sure. That makes sense. But those were open air.
Right.
So,
No air conditioning.
right.
No.
But it breezy because I mean you were like actually out in the I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in California, it gets quite hot sometimes.
Yeah.
So I hope that breeze was enough for them.
Yeah.
But they were open air, like you were saying. But that did provide amazing views of everything around you.
Right.
And people really did enjoy them. The Disneyland one kind of had a sad ending, though, because the main Tomorrowland support structure for the Skyway was right in the spot where they were planning on building the Matterhorn. So when the Matterhorn was constructed, they actually were able to carve the mountain so that it had an opening the Skyway was able to pass through, the
Oh wow.
Skyway buckets, and that was very cool to have the structures like interact like that. However, it ended up being the downfall of the entire Skyway because I don't know if you've heard us discuss Expedition Everest on this attraction, but the reason that the Yeti in that attraction can't be fixed is because it's on a really tall tower that's a separate structure from the shell of the mountain ride building, and they would have to open up the mountain in order to get to the support base of the Yeti, which was damaged by stress fractures from the movement of the attraction. Well, that same thing happened to the Disney Skyway. There was stress on the supports at the very bottom of the structure inside of the Matterhorn holding up
Really?
the Skyway. And unless they were going to take the Matterhorn apart, they couldn't get to the damage. So that's what led to the closure of the Disneyland Skyway.
When was that? Do you know?
Yes, Disneyland Skyway closed in 1994. It is very sad.
It is it or was it fortuitous? I mean, like didn't it well, you'll get into it.
Into what?
Didn't it wind up didn't it close here because of an accident? A death?
There was an accident here that was not the official reason that they closed, but
That's a rumor. Okay.
but it did happen the same year. So it really does
Okay.
make you think. And we will, here we will get into that. Yes, you are right. This one, though, when it closed, apparently they transferred the operating budget of it to the Indiana Jones ride, Indiana
Oh.
Jones and the Temple of the Forbidden Eye. So
So can you still see the infrastructure from the Skyway in Disneyland?
unfortunately, no. All of it
Okay.
has been cleared. The only remains of it are just like here in the Magic Kingdom. You can see where the support beams used to be in the ground. You can see like little kind of circles
Oh,
or
wow.
whatever of the pavement where
The
they used to
footprint.
be the true that's such a good way of putting that, the true footprint of the attraction. In Disneyland, interestingly, they did have two, obviously, since they closed the Skyway, they had two stations that were left abandoned. The Tomorrowland one was almost immediately demolished and then reconfigured into Tomorrowland. But the Fantasyland station over in Disneyland, this is like foreshadowing for what would happen to us, sat
Mm.
completely abandoned until 2009, which is a really long time. From 1994 to 2009, it
Wow.
was just roped off and just rotting away back there. And
I hate it when they do that.
it it is
It's in Disneyland?
right where they
You've
have
got
no
no
space.
space.
Yeah, crazy.
What?
And of course, it was one of those things where because it was known to the public and because it was only roped off,
Obvious.
people would
Yeah.
sneak in there
Of
and take
course.
pictures and stuff. So there's a lot of, urban exploring that went on in there. But in 2009, they finally filed a permit to demolish it, and now Galaxy's Edge is there in Disneyland.
Okay.
So, now if you want to know where that was, it's over there somewhere. But it is really interesting that they let it rot because that's also what happened to our Fantasyland station. Not to jump too far ahead, but the Disneyland Skyway was loved for a while in its time, and it did inspire two copies in Tokyo Disneyland and in here in Walt Disney World.
Right?
Yeah. We did a TikTok about the Magic Kingdom Skyway that a lot of you out there really appreciated, and it tells a little bit of the story and where you can find remnants of it around the park now or around Walt Disney World now. So if you want to check out the Neverland Navigation TikTok at Neverland Navco, maybe give that a look. But just a little bit of brief history. It opened on October 1st, 1971, with the rest of the Magic Kingdom because it was an opening day attraction, and it was very much the same setup as Disneyland, where it took you to Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, and back again. Lots of great views of the park. Morgan previously said that there was an accident that took place on this, and that's like I think one of the more well-known Disney World accidents. Unfortunately, uh, I'll just briefly go over it. On Valentine's Day,
Oh,
1999,
it
doesn't
was Valentine's Day.
so sad. A 65-year-old part-time custodian named Raymond Barlow was unfortunately killed when he fell off of a seat while cleaning the Fantasyland Skyway Station platform. The cast members started up the ride while he was there, but they didn't know that he was there. And then in that same year, the Skyway did reopen after that.
I didn't know all those details.
Really?
I just assumed, yeah, I had just heard somebody fell and I assumed it was a guest. And the thing about this is you could easily see it happening. You know what I mean? You could imagine it being something that maybe everybody should have been concerned about because there were no windows. So it seemed like if you just somebody wasn't paying attention, they looked over too much, they had been drinking,
Mm-hmm.
unsupervised teenagers screwing around, that somebody could fall out of there.
Yeah, there actually had been previously, there had been another cast member who had accidentally basically been caught up in the Skyway and did fall off of it as well. So it wasn't the first time either, which is really unfortunate. But
Wow.
this was right near the closing date, November 10th, 1999. So it really makes you think that maybe because of publicity reasons or for, just because of the impression that leaves on guests,
Hmm.
that had to be a factor. But in the Orlando Sentinel, the newspaper that's local to the Orlando area, Disney did put out a statement saying that it was part of their ongoing efforts to phase out some older attractions and introduce some new things to keep the parks exciting for our new and repeat visitors,
Eh,
says Disney World spokeswoman Diane Letter. Um, it's something whose time has come. To not even mention the incident is definitely an interesting choice there. I see why.
yeah,
But I would say the timing has to be more than coincidental.
I agree. They
Yeah.
don't they don't they don't close down things just because they're old.
Yeah, usually not.
Yeah.
I mean, it does happen, but I think that is
Was
like
it not popular?
that's a really interesting question. I don't think it was unpopular because really it was seen, I think, as like a regular transportation type of system, like the railway. Would you say the railway is the most popular thing at Magic Kingdom? No.
No.
Do guests utilize it to get from point A to point B? Absolutely.
Sometimes.
I think that was kind of the same state as this one. Um, it is a sad end to the attraction, but people do have a lot of positive memories of the Skyway here at Walt Disney World. In fact, when we posted our TikTok about it, we had a lot of really wonderful memories left in the comments of people riding it with loved ones or people who worked on the attraction and say that they really enjoyed it. So it is cool that it created so much joy. There was a Tokyo version of it as well. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that either. It operated from 1983 to 1998, and they closed it so that they could build a Winnie the Pooh ride in Tokyo Disneyland, in their Fantasyland.
Winnie the Pooh, the ride, has taken out so many things. They could not. Maybe they feel like because Winnie the Pooh is such a innocent character that it's okay for him to demolish
Ugh.
like classic attractions. But Winnie the Pooh took out the Mr. Toads in Walt Disney World, Country Bear Jamboree in Disneyland, and now I hear the Sky Buckets in Tokyo. Interesting.
It's like Winnie the Pooh.
How are you gonna be mad at Winnie the Pooh?
How could you be mad at him? But he's a killer.
He is.
he's a cold-blooded
Yeah, I think this was thought out.
hitman. Wow, yeah, I like that. It makes sense. He's like so cuddly.
Yeah.
Yeah, who would know that he's on a rampage? So those are the end of. So there are no Skyways left. In all of the Disney parks, there are no Tomorrowland to Fantasyland Skyways anymore. I kind of wish they were still here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There's a part of me that thinks I would really enjoy. Have you ever done the Busch Gardens one?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a different thing because it takes you over.
I'll
to
tell
Savannah.
you, they scare me.
They are a little scary, huh?
Yeah, it scares me more than our current Skyliner because of the openness of it.
Have you ever ridden one at the fair?
No, God.
At the fair, they're not even buckets. They're truly ski lifts. Like you get in it and you close the lap bar on you, and that's it. And I will say that is really scary. It was for me anyway. The bucket situation for me is still a little scary because it is open air, but at least in my view, it's a little bit better than just sitting on a bench with a bar.
Yeah, it's better.
Because that is wow.
It's better, but the bar is pretty low.
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
The bar. That is yes.
Yeah.
That is wild. I do think that it is cool that although that is retired, we still kind of have a continuation of it now. I think that's fun.
I agree. I think that the Skyliner is like a nod to the Skyway. We call it the Sky Buckets in my house.
And that's fine. Because when you say buckets, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's not
probably most people do.
Oh yeah. A lot of people in the comments are calling them the Sky Buckets.
Before the Skyliner opened, everybody was calling them the gondolas.
Yeah.
Was that put out by Disney, do you think?
I don't know. I think they are called gondolas in a bunch of different like amusement parks throughout the country. So like, but in Busch Gardens, actually I think on Busch Gardens they call them sky gondolas.
Really?
And I think they pronounce it gondola. That's what stands out in my mind from writing them there. It's that in their safety spiel they say, please do not rock the gondola or stuff like that.
The fact that you could is what scares me.
Isn't that-
The open bucket.
I know.
Yeah.
The
Make
fact that
sure
you
you're
could-
traveling with people that are responsible enough to not get you killed is the way I've always felt about sky bucket situations.
Yes, and if there's a fear in your heart about that with the current Skyliner, I would like to assuage those fears now.
Yeah.
You cannot rock them off of
Nope.
the cables. They
Right.
are like, I actually did a little bit of reading about the way that they're fastened, and it is really interesting. But they're meant to be able to withstand extreme like
Good.
wind and stuff without. They will never like detach from
Good. I'm
the
really glad
cable.
to hear that.
So that's not something that you out there have to worry about
I
at all.
I remember when we would go on the sky buckets, if somebody was like looking over, it would like had any part of their body like going over the side of it, it would make me nervous. Yeah.
Because
So
it tilts you a little bit.
yes, but you can't have that in the new version. So I feel safe in the new version mostly.
Yeah. Until it stops.
And when it stops and you're just swaying there, I get that you're safe, but you're so far up and looking down, it's scary.
Yeah, it is still scary. I think being stuck on the monorail is a little bit scary. Being stuck on the Skyliner.
Well, now.
I know, now that we know how to get evacuated off the monorail, it's more scary.
Yeah.
But being stuck on the Skyliner is also pretty scary because, well, we'll get to their evacuation procedures, but you are quite high in the air as well. Anyway, the Skyliner opened September 29th in 2019. There was a lot of lead up to it. The way that people kind of discovered it before Disney announced it was that they had filed permits for the support structures that hold up the Skyliner and the turning stations that make their travel possible. And when people discovered those permits, they thought, oh, there's a new transportation system coming to Disney World that looks a lot like either a chairlift or, that type of situation. So people kind of assumed that they would be sky buckets. And then when Disney announced them, there were a lot of people that were saying that they were afraid of heights and they didn't know about them. And I feel like then came the air conditioning line of inquiry because Disney had revealed that there would be no air conditioning on the Skyliners and that they would utilize cross ventilation to cool guests and a lot of fluidity. How did you feel when you heard
I
that?
was nervous about that. Yeah. I
Yeah.
thought they were crazy for not putting air conditioning in.
Yeah, it feels wrong.
Yes.
In Florida?
Yes.
It's like, are you sure?
I will say I don't find it even on a really hot day to be too hot unless you get stopped for a lengthy amount of time.
Yeah, I agree. The whatever system of cross ventilation they have working in there,
It's
sometimes
nice
it
and
feels
breezy.
like air conditioning
Yeah,
because
it
it's
does.
so cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that does help. I also don't ever feel like there's no moving air in there. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Well,
You don't
unless
feel
you get
stuffy
stopped.
unless you get stopped. And
But it's not, I guess it's not stuffy then because it's open. Like the vents are.
Yeah, but the temperature
Yeah, the temperature
definitely
gets
goes
hot.
up when you don't have that nice cross breeze. The Disney Skyliner services Epcot, the Riviera Resort, the Caribbean Beach Resort, which is the hub that can either get you to Epcot or to Hollywood Studios. And then from Caribbean, you can travel to Disney Hollywood Studios and then the Art of Animation / Pop Century station. So this expanded direct park access for 3 different resorts, 4 different resorts if you're obviously we're separating Pop Century and Art of Animation. So
and really upped the game for Pop Century and Art of Animation. I thought that this was a shocking move for them because Pop Century and Art of Animation are both considered value resorts.
right,
Pop Century being an actual cheaper option for a resort, and to give it transportation
devoted park transportation
to 2 different parks.
Wow,
What? That
we
I
were
mean,
surprised.
yeah.
I remember you sending me that article and me being very
Yeah.
surprised that value resorts were getting this kind of like luxurious
Treatment.
amenity.
Yes, exactly.
I love it though.
Yeah, me too.
It's actually one of the things that I love the most about the Skyliner is that it like really helps some of these value resorts kind of get in on the game in terms of transportation because that's where they lack the most usually. It's just the bus transportation for the most part.
Right.
The Riviera was not done being built when the Skyliner opened, so it was the first addition to the Skyliner technically. The one of my favorite things about the Skyliner is the stations.
Hmm.
I think a lot of them are
Yeah.
beautiful. I think a lot of them are very fun.
Yeah.
Specifically, the Epcot station is really. I love the detailing in the metal work that's going
Yes.
on in there. And they have paintings inside. I think it's like a really cool little addition to that Epcot International Gateway area.
I like how they're all a little bit differently themed too, based on, the stop.
Yeah, isn't that fun
Yes.
to have like another opportunity to like add some theming to the resort? I love that. And at the Caribbean Beach stop, that's like the main terminal hub for the Skyliners because that's where you can get to either Epcot or Hollywood Studios. They have Joffrey's there as well for your coffee and tea and snack needs, and that's the location that they have sometimes themed food or drink to the Skyliner. They
Yeah.
have something called a Toffee Flight Coffee, which is, a loose tie-in for the Skyliner.
Have you had it yet?
No, I haven't, but I like
No.
toffee, so I would
Me
try
too.
it.
Yeah.
Maybe if they have it, it's like a
Wait, is
rotating.
it a cold brew?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So we're safe. We're not big cold brew
Yeah.
drinkers. We are big on the Skyliner, though. We always find ourselves on it, so maybe next time we're over there, we can give it a sip.
Yeah. Yeah, we should. We should try it.
Yeah, it's probably good. Coffee.
I keep trying the cold brews and it keeps not working out for me. But I think that's just me.
Yeah,
If you like cold brew.
we had one in Animal Kingdom recently that
Oh, yeah.
that I really enjoyed, but it's because it's made with sweet condensed milk.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
There's
like
a lot of extra.
really sweet.
Yeah.
You can almost not taste
And
that.
creamy. And
Yes.
it kind of blunts the like specific cold brew flavor.
Yeah, it's got like an edge to it that I don't particularly like, almost like a bite, like a chemically or something.
That's what
Bitter.
I think. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah. Nothing helps cut that like sweetened condensed milk and coconut because that was what was in the one at Animal Kingdom. That was quite good in the Harambe Bakery. Okay. This goes how fast do you think this goes if you had to guess?
Oh, 15 miles per hour?
It's even slower than that. The speed ranges from 1 to 11 miles per hour.
11.
I would have guessed higher too. I didn't realize it was such a slow moving one. Hopefully that settles some people out there because you are really not going fast on these at all. Height wise, though, they are up to 60 feet in the air, but they mostly stay in the range between 20 and 30 feet in the air for most of the legs of the routes. So that's really not too high. I think the 60-foot glide is for when you're above water because then you're up a little bit higher.
I don't know. You're up pretty high above like the freeway area.
Next to Hollywood
Not freeway,
Studios.
but yeah, the main roads.
Mhm.
And that is when I get really nervous when we stop.
Oh, okay. That makes sense because you are pretty high up.
But I don't know how high up. But that's when I feel like I'm the most nervous.
At the most, you're 60 feet up in the air, which is pretty high. That's not a low number. But maybe not as high as some people would imagine, because there are other things that are 200 feet tall at
That's true.
Walt Disney World.
That's
So,
true. That's a good point.
if you're on the Tower of Terror or Expedition Everest, you're up higher than that already. So maybe you've already conquered that in your brain.
Yeah. Okay.
But you're not stuck in swinging. Yeah, I know. I get it. I understand. That is tough. Speaking of those air conditioners, the reason that there aren't air conditioners in them is because everything aboard the Skyliner, including the narration and the LED indirect light on the floor, is powered by batteries that are inside each cabin and that are charged at the stations. So when you're
solar,
I don't think they're solar. I think they're regular old batteries,
No way.
non-solar batteries. And then when you go into the station and they're standing still, the actual station charges the battery while you're there, like a
Okay.
roller coaster.
does this explain why half of the time, possibly literally, the narration or whatever you would call it is not working?
Huh, I hadn't thought about that. Maybe that is why. Because they're on a limited power
That
supply.
really bothers me. Like,
Yeah, I have
every
noticed that.
other time we get on it, there's no narration at all. And fine, like I said, if you listen to the monorail episode, we go so often and we're usually talking. I think most people are generally talking that you're not
Right.
really listening to the narration.
Not so much.
Yeah, but it's weird to not have it half the time.
Yeah, it's just the perception of there being a consistent technical issue with them.
Concerning.
Not my favorite.
Not my favorite. Yeah, good way to
Absolutely.
put it.
Um, that being said, it is cool that each of them are like self-contained batteries. It does, though. I guess that would help to explain why sometimes there are some things that don't work. That must be part of it
Maybe.
in my brain, anyway.
I mean, maybe it's a speaker issue. I guess we don't know, but
Right. That is why they don't have AC in there, though, is for power reasons. So to maintain a comfortable temperature, the glass on each cabin has reflective glazing to keep the sun out, and there are a number of windows and vents that create cross ventilation when you're in motion, and that helps to keep guests cool. And we do find that that works out. Generally, not too overheated on there when they're moving.
yeah, it's nice. Yeah, and I'm saying I even mentioned this last time we went on them, and it was like no joke, high 90s, and
Hmm.
we were dying. And I was like, it's surprising to me that I'm not hot up here.
Yeah, they've really got that cross ventilation science. Like they must have those vents aimed just the right way to
Yeah.
to
Hmm.
really do it right. Because I've never really even we have been stuck on these before,
We have.
and they do get warmer
Not for like hours or anything, but
now.
maybe 10 minutes is
Yeah,
probably the most.
right.
Are you going to address the weather, like the rain, the thunder? I'm interested to hear. I'm surprised that they would make something else that can't handle the Florida thunderstorms, which happen every day in the summer.
Yeah, it is. That was something that we talked about a lot when these opened. Is why would you create a means of transportation that doesn't work during the most frequent weather event that we have here in Florida, which is rain and thunderstorms. We have them all the time, and I think the answer might be that in Florida they usually pass. I don't know. I don't know what the statistics are on how quickly they pass,
Hmm.
but they also offer a very seamless recovery transportation system for that, which is the employment of the bus route for when the Skyliner is down. So maybe they figured that between those things, the fact that storms usually dissipate within a couple hours, and the fact that the bus line fill in system works pretty easily, maybe they just didn't think it was enough of an issue to shut down the entire project. I don't know. I will say, though, um, a lot of people were very concerned about being stuck in them during weather events. That
Uh-huh.
that was very concerning to a lot of people. And I think part of the reason that happening did happen was because they opened on September 29th, and then on October 6th, which is not very far into their run, they had a major standstill where guests were stranded on them for up to 3 hours before being evacuated. And this was a huge news story.
Hmm.
I remember reading about this for days and days after it happened because the Skyliner was so new and so many people were so afraid of it. And then right away, it had a huge operational
A
fail.
huge, scary operational fail. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't actually remember. I don't think it's important why exactly they were stuck because they generally don't get stuck for that long. But guests were stranded up there for quite a long time, and it's when this was the moment when a lot of the details about the evacuation process of the Skyliner, I think, became more front of mind for guests because they saw people opening the emergency kit and they saw people waiting to be rescued and they realized, oh, that's actually the reality of what this looks like.
And for me, it made me think. Well, after I was okay with going on it, so well into it,
Hmm.
it it this is maybe weird, but it made me think I need to make sure I use the restroom before I get on this.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a good thought to have. Because part of the emergency kit, they have bags for in case you are caught in a situation like that. They also have first aid stuff in there, water, and they have a also on each of the Skyliner cars they have a call box in case of emergency where they can relay information to you. You can
Did they have something with sugar in it?
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if they have something for. I don't think that was part of the emergency kit there.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe that would be a good addition.
Yeah, but I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I think most diabetics would carry stuff with them for emergencies like that, but I'm kind of surprised they don't have something.
Would be nice. Maybe they were afraid people would just break into it for the chocolate chip cookie
For
or
real.
something.
Yeah, you could be right. They need I guess they'd have to have just glucose tabs, but I
Mm,
think most of us carry them.
right. Um. So yeah, I think that definitely that incident put a spotlight on the what it is to be stuck on those, and a lot of people, I think, that created an image of their mind of them being scary, which is unfortunate.
Well, did they have to take a ladder to get them out?
Yeah, the gravel access roads that were built under all the overland portions of the Skyliner were built so that they can accommodate cherry pickers. So the reason that there's nothing underneath the Skyliner anywhere that the Skyliner is on land
Oh, I didn't notice
is
that.
so that cherry pickers can pull up right underneath you and then lower you down one by
I didn't
one.
notice that.
So thankfully, there will be no rope ladder. There will
Good.
be no
I
shimmying.
was imagining the really long rope ladder
Uh-huh.
at 60 feet. You're going down shaking.
Oh my gosh. That would be terrible.
Rope ladder is exactly what I was envisioning.
That is scary. Luckily, the Reedy Creek Fire Department instead will be pulling up on a cherry picker with somebody on the top basket, asking you to step in one by one, I believe, and then lowering you to the bottom. So not so bad, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still scary, probably. Probably can't be a great feeling, but that is the evacuation process for when you are on the land. And when you are on the water, Disney has a specialized boat to reach the cabins. So if you're,
Same basic thing, just on water.
I think so.
Yeah.
So if
Cool.
you're ever stuck above the above there, you don't need to worry about it. I
You don't have
also
to swim.
you don't you don't have to perfect your dive and swim, so that's nice. I also saw that Reedy Creek Fire Department was trained on rappelling from the sky buckets. Can I'm hoping that's a situation that never actually has
Wait,
to
what?
happen. Yeah, I
No,
don't.
I don't know what you mean.
So it sounds to me like there is some type of emergency situation that may happen that requires firefighters to like kick off of the Skyliner and like go down on a rope, like rappelling. But that's not the standard evacuation procedure. So I wonder what it is. Because all that the article that I was reading said was that that's what part of their training is to be able to rappel down from the sky cabins. So that's weird and that's wild. I wonder what it is that would cause them to have to do that. But for guests on board, they're supposed to use the cherry picker. Maybe if they don't have a cherry picker or something, but I can't imagine
This is like Plan X
right.
or Plan T or something. Okay.
Like they have to know how to do it in case they have to do it, but that's not.
I mean, I guess good for them for having a backup to the backup to the backup plan, but
Sounds scary. Even as a firefighter, that sounds scary to have to like push off of the cabin and then rappel to the floor. Ooh, gosh. I do think though I don't think we'll ever see that because like
no.
when are they not gonna have a cherry picker to come get the guests? You know, we've seen them do
I'd
that.
imagine they have a bunch of them.
Yeah, we've seen them do it a few times now. That was honestly, I would say that was probably the most. I would say that was the incident that most people think of when they think of the Skyliner. There have been other incidents.
I remember the conversation a lot being these people all got like a $250 Disney gift card,
Mhm.
and would it be worth it to you? 2 hours stuck on the Skyliner, no air conditioning, October 6th, is that what you said?
Yeah, I think absolutely not.
No.
There were some guests that were really having,
Yeah.
you know, a really hard time. Medical conditions, bathroom, overheating.
Hmm.
I don't think a bottle of water and $250
Would cut it.
even comes close, in my opinion. Although there was conversation that some guests were offered park tickets after being stranded up there, which I think is maybe a more reasonable accommodation, because at least that's a whole day worth of
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
$250
that
actually doesn't get you very far at Disney
they
World.
gave anybody that park tickets a replacement park ticket plus $250.
I hope. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, $250. I mean, that's not nothing though.
Yeah,
I guess it's good that they gave them something.
yeah. Well, for
Um,
that amount of time, yeah.
I know that is a long time to be
And that
up
could have
there.
been a rumor. I don't know that that's what they were compensated with, but that's what I heard
Hmm.
is replacement park tickets for the day because they lost hours out of their day.
I
You have to
know.
replace the park tickets plus 250. But that's what I heard.
Right. I didn't actually look at what they gave them, but I think that's what I remember as well, hearing that same
Something like
number.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and that was probably their biggest incident. There was another incident on October 5th, which is shockingly close to the first thing that happened, and also shockingly close to the September 29th opening of this, by the way. A gondola became jammed at the Riviera Resort Station just before taking off for Epcot. So there was a backlog of gondolas basically smacking into each other, and there was like broken windows, broken glass, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually happened 2 other times, right?
Is it glass?
Yeah,
I assumed it was like I don't know, tempered glass to plastic kind of.
it is glass with reflective
Okay.
glazing. So I don't know if the reflective glazing does anything, but apparently when they smack into each other, the glass shatters.
Okay.
Luckily, though,
They're just not supposed to. Yeah.
there have been no guest injuries. There were not people on board those specific cabins, I guess. So we haven't had injuries as a result of any of the, I think we're up to 3 now instances of these colliding with each other. But that is a little bit scary to think that this first collision, which was, I think, the worst of them at the Riviera, that happened. That happened the day before they were stranded for
Oh my
3 hours. That's a crazy amount of problems to have so close together.
Right.
Um,
And this is when we were like watching the news, not like you know what I mean, and being like, this isn't gonna work out.
yeah,
Nobody's gonna go on these.
I think that's why they have that problem. It's because so many bad things happen so close together that
But then
everyone
COVID
was like,
happened, and we all forgot about all these problems.
yeah, that honestly, I think that is what it was. Like,
Yeah.
we went so long without going to Disney that when we got back, we were like, oh, we haven't even done that yet.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Exactly.
oh, whatever, we'll try it.
Right.
And it ended up,
We had all
that was
just
not English.
we had all just survived a pandemic, so
We were like, yeah, we can be stranded for
whatever.
2 hours. What's the worst that could
I
happen?
could entertain myself.
Yeah, at least you're away from other people.
Yeah.
When you're up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays, you're not away from other people. You can sit up to 10 people in these,
Yeah.
and
I don't like it when they do, but
I don't like it when they do either. It is really nice when they're not busy and they can put you in your own
Mhm.
car. Sometimes you can make fast friends this way.
Yeah.
If you're sat with friendly people who, they want to talk to you and have a conversation.
Sometimes it's awkward.
Yeah, but
you never know.
that is the gamut.
The grab bag. Yeah.
Yeah. The grab bag is you could be knee to knee with people for the whole time.
Uh-huh.
And that is a little rough. It's more intimate than the monorail or a bus
Right.
or any of those
Because
things.
it's usually you and your party and then another party.
Right.
It almost makes you feel like you have to talk.
I know. It's like a test of your ability to engage with strangers.
Yeah.
But that is what you get. We've been fairly lucky that a lot of times we're not sat with anyone.
I would say 90% of the time.
Mm-hmm. And that is nice.
Mm-hmm. It makes me irritated when they decide not to do it.
I know, and imagine being
I'm not-
stuck on there with people you
Yes,
don't know.
that's what I'm always worried about.
I know.
And we don't go on it when there's like a long line for it, so it's really about the cast member, and if they're deciding to just put people together, it's not it's not about whether it's busy or not, so that's why I get irritated.
It's true.
Anyway.
Right. So another thing that has kind of upset people about these, though, is that gradually since their launch, Disney has been discontinuing the bus routes between connections that are connected by the Skyliner.
This isn't okay.
Yeah, I feel
This isn't
similarly.
okay. Yeah, so like like you said earlier, I have a family member that won't go on these
Mhm.
because of,
Because I'm
reasons.
sorry, they crashed into each other and were left dangling for 3 hours within 2 months of their opening.
Yeah,
Could that
so
have something to do with it?
reasonable reasons.
Yeah.
And if you stay at Pop Century or any of these other hotels and you are opting not to take the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios or Epcot, you are out of luck. There's no bus. You have to take a bus to somewhere else and then take a bus from there to Hollywood Studios or Epcot. And I am not okay with this.
That is kind of silly, isn't it?
Yeah,
I know
have the
that,
bus run maybe less often, sure, but don't take it out entirely. That's like punishing people for having reasonable fears.
and it's like a budgetary constraint reason. It's
Yeah.
not like a
Excuse me?
it's not like a practical reason. It's
Yeah.
like I mean, it's the most practical it could be, but it's like that is unfortunate. I do think that it's kind of silly to completely yank the bus option out from under the people,
Yeah.
especially when you see how easily the buses are integrated into the transportation system when the Skyliners go down.
Mm-hmm.
When the Skyliners go down, there's a bus waiting for you to
Yeah.
take you where you're trying to
Right.
go if you're
It
in line for the
appears
Skyliner.
magically. It's amazing.
It's happened to us a couple times, and every time it's been fine. So
Shockingly efficient. Shockingly.
they've got it down to like an art, a science that you
Yeah.
wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
So it's hard to believe that they've got those buses that can do those routes when the Skyliner is down, but then when the Skyliner is functioning normally, they're just deciding to.
You have no choice. This is it.
Yeah.
I have to advise anybody that is not okay with the Skyliner for whatever
Mhm.
your reason is, not to stay at one of those hotels because you are limited to transportation.
Yep.
You have to take extra time out of your day to go take a bus to like Magic Kingdom and then from Magic Kingdom to Epcot or Ticket and Transportation Center. Like I don't like it.
Now
I'm hoping they'll change it.
Yeah, me too. I hope they bring the buses back for those routes, at least in a limited capacity, like you were saying. Maybe
It feels discriminatory, to be honest.
it's definitely. If I were someone who was deadly afraid of heights and I learned that this option was not available to me because I was basically being forced, I mean, that's a strong word, but because I was being told that I have a transportation option available to me, that's not great
It's
customer
not an
experience,
easy
huh?
right, and I'm sure the answer that anybody would give us is, "Oh, it's just an easy take a bus here and take a different bus there." But it's not that easy because
Mhm.
a lot of times you have to wait up to 20 minutes for your bus. So that's and then the extra trip. So you're potentially adding an hour
Yeah.
to your losing an hour out of your day for this, and that's just one way.
Mhm. That that's not
I would
it's
be
not great.
upset. So yes, I would advise if you're not a Skyliner fan, I would not stay at one of those hotels.
And obviously, the exception to this is if you are staying at Riviera, Caribbean, Art, or Pop, and you're not going to Epcot or
Oh
Hollywood
yeah,
Studios.
but
Because
why are you doing that?
yeah, actually, those are just those are your closest parks. So it sucks that we're saying
Yeah,
that if you're staying and you're afraid of heights, then you shouldn't stay at one of these. But
right.
it is unfortunately kind of the case. I don't know how many of you out there are afraid of heights. I would love to hear if you are afraid of heights. I would love to hear your perspective on the Skyliner because it must be strange to have something huge, big budget built for you that then detracts from your Walt Disney
Yeah,
World experience. It
right.
must be an odd feeling, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, that is odd. I would say that is the biggest downside to the Skyliner being built.
Yeah.
Is that it takes away some of those bus connections. Now I will say, the Skyliner system is closed when there's lightning nearby or there's strong winds being measured. So hey, in Florida, that is quite often. It's cool that they've got this bus recovery transportation system that sweeps right in, but the Skyliner is known probably more than any of the other transportation systems to go down quite a bit.
Yeah.
So something to know if you're traveling to the
Hmm.
parks is that if you're in that,
I would imagine the boats go down for the same exact reasons, though. So.
yeah, that is a really good point. But the boats, other than obviously the Magic Kingdom ferries, are not nearly as popular as any of the other
Agreed.
transportation systems.
Yeah, and the Magic Kingdom one isn't even what I was thinking of. That one might be okay. It would certainly be okay in a
Right?
strong wind. I don't know if it would be okay in lightning. Probably not. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know. They
I
got to
don't
get
know.
you over there somehow.
Right? Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
It
They also have a robust bus transportation system at the Magic Kingdom, though, so I bet it picks up a lot of slack when
Yeah.
stuff like that happens. Yeah.
Hmm. The ticket and transportation.
Oh, well, yeah,
Yeah.
they've got that set
How have we not experienced this issue?
I never have not either the monorail or the ferry has always been open for me. I've never been in a bad enough storm that
Yeah.
they shut them all, and I've been aboard those in the pouring rain.
Okay.
So
So they must not shut them down nearly as easily. The
they're
Skyliner is operating like water park rules, right? Like
yeah, that is
like
what it is.
yeah, what is it like 10 if there's lightning within 10 miles you're done.
Probably, yeah. They have a wind detection system for the Skyliner that will manually shut it off for like wind conditions. But lightning, I bet, is probably kind of like that, where they
Yeah.
have to like time and count out. And,
I think that we heard that the first time that we got put on a bus. Like if there's lightning within it's a certain radius, then we have to shut down.
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It is weird to have something that operates like that at Walt Disney World, but most of the time, obviously,
As we're in a lightning storm right this second,
I
as
know.
we're recording.
Florida.
It's
Florida.
regular. Yeah. Okay.
This is our life in the summertime.
And it's not the summer. It's just a regular. You know what I mean? When
I
it's
know.
not the summer lightning stuff, you've put out the potential of whatever. Go on.
One of the biggest draws for taking the Skyliner is the view.
Oh yeah, I agree.
There are some amazing views that you get. I was going to ask if you had any standout views from the Skyliner. Oh, great!
I do. I love seeing the backside of Paris with the spaceship Earth in the background, but even just going over, like where you can see where the whole little area outside of the queue to the Ratatouille ride. I love that.
Yeah.
Cousteau's sign.
The Ratatouille like expansion of France.
Yes.
Before it opened, that was so cool.
Yes.
That you could see all of that going up
amazing.
from the back of the Skyliner. Oh, that was awesome. We saw them put the sign up. We saw them build all the facades. I mean, that was really... We were just talking about how if you were on the monorail while they were building Epcot, they gave you what? To see the park being built?
Oh yeah, they had like a visitor pass, like a free ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? That's so cool. That's basically when we were on the Skyliner. That's what we got just for the little the Ratatouille expansion.
Yeah.
We got like a little pass to see them building it.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's my favorite view. I have a separate favorite feeling part of the Skyliner.
Ooh, tell me.
So when you are going to the Pop Century Art of Animation stop, it does this thing where it gets low and kind of glides over the water, and it feels like you're in like a magic carpet gliding over the water, and I'm like, this feels awesome. I love the whole feeling of it.
You feel like a bird, like doing that swooping thing. You
say bird, I say magic carpet. It's fine.
I know you're not saying bird. That's for sure. That is a really cool feeling. There are parts of the Skyliner that like slope and droop and stuff, and most of the time it's not really something that you're not
most thrilled
people
about.
are excited for because it's like a little jarring. But for that easy glide across the water
to like where you're practically on top of the water,
it feels amazing.
It's cool.
That is also the shortest leg of the Skyliner, is going from what is that, Hollywood Studios to Art of Animation Pop, and the glide in is like the perfect little cherry on top of that short little trip over there.
Yeah,
that's the most enjoyable leg of it for me.
Yeah,
although the view of the Epcot portion is really...
Is that your favorite too? I love that. I love it. We got stopped there for a few minutes once and saw the fireworks from there. It was like, extra magic.
It was incredible. We were stopped like in a way where we could look kind of in between two buildings and see the fireworks.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly where we were, but that was magical. I didn't even know that was a possibility aboard the Skyliner, so that was really cool. That was early on in the Skyliner's existence as well.
Hmm.
We were pretty new to it at that point, so that was really magical. Also, something cool that you can see from the Skyliner at night is if you're in the Epcot portion of it, like the Epcot Riviera Caribbean portion, you can, or even from farther away, the Spaceship Earth lights up at night and you
Yeah.
can see it from really far away on the Skyliner. So you can get like a cool sense of your bearings just by looking at the Spaceship Earth lights, and they go into these pre-programmed transitions and light sequences where they like shift around and make shapes and stuff. And it is a beautiful sight from up in the Skyliner. One of
Hmm.
my favorite places to look at they call them points of light on Spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite vantage points to see them from because the Epcot ball looks so tiny from so far
Yeah.
away, but you see all the color changing lights.
Hmm.
It's really
It's
cool.
exciting, especially if that's going to be your final destination
Oh,
anyway. Yeah,
yeah.
like get you.
That's the way to ride into Epcot,
Yes.
seeing the Spaceship Earth in the distance. Yeah, that is really cool. That's about it for me. I just wanted to kind of go over how we got from the Skyway to the Skyline. It's kind of a cool story that we ended up. When did they open? 1956 was the Disneyland Skyway, and these just opened up in 2019, and they're still providing a cool, fun sense of sightseeing.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of cool. If you want to see,
Interesting transportation is always appreciated. You know what I
yes.
mean? Definitely a leg up over the bus.
And how often are you're always riding a bus? How often are you riding one of these cool Skyway gondolas?
Right.
Not too often. If you do want to see, I love telling people this, if you want to see one of the original cabins from the Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom Skyway,
Uh-huh.
you have to go over to Disney Springs, wander into the Disney Style store, and look up above you because they've got it
Look
suspended from the
up.
ceiling.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of
can't believe people told us that they'd never seen it before.
That was
They've
like the
gone
most
in
liked
this
comment on that TikTok.
crazy.
I know.
Yeah. Look up, you guys.
They said, I've been in that store a million times and I've never looked up and seen that.
Yeah, but this is looking up is just good advice, and down and all around is just good advice for Disney in general because of all the details everywhere.
It's so true. You miss so much if you don't take that extra.
Especially if you're looking at your phone.
Oh, yeah. And I know that's hard now
It's
because
hard for us too.
Disney has
We're not
integrated it
judging you.
deeply into the experience. You
Yeah.
know, you can't even
Oh yeah, if you're
can't
trying to
even
get
do it.
multi-pass, like
Multipass. You can't even,
you can't
operate
not.
Disney World
Yeah.
without the app now. So we definitely get it. But yeah, that's definitely one of those examples of wow. That's definitely one of those examples of taking a minute to look around and seeing something really cool. A lot of people don't know about the Skyway and the Magic Kingdom, though. It might have been before their time, or
Mhm.
maybe this is their first trip, and they don't have like a plaque in there or anything explaining what it is. So
Right.
this is your plaque. That's from
I'm
the
telling you.
Magic Kingdom Skyway. So take a picture or something.
Yeah.
All right, that's gonna do it for this little trip on the history of the Disney Skyline. If you guys would like to zip on over to social media, we would love to continue the conversation with you over there. We're on Instagram and on TikTok at Neverland Navco, and we would love to hear about how you feel about the Skyline or what your favorite kind of way of getting around Disney World is. It seems like there's a lot of options now.
There are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also have an Etsy shop called Neverland Navigation, where we do custom shirts and dish towels and sweatshirts.
Yeah, maybe you can get a Skyline
Yeah.
shirt. Is that your vibe? Or maybe you want the Sky Bucket attraction poster.
Yeah.
Now you've got me saying Sky Bucket. Magic Kingdom Skyway. Whatever.
Whatever.
We know what you mean. If you say, make me the Sky Bucket shirt,
I'll know what you mean.
we'll figure it out. Well, hey, until our next mode of transportation, we'll see you
on our next adventure.
Bye.
Bye.